Hello students, welcome to today's class. In our previous class, we took a look at traffic regulation. In this class, we are going to be looking at interpersonal relationship. By the end of this class, you should be able to define the term interpersonal relationship. You should be able to discuss some of the types of interpersonal relationship that we have. You also should be able to mention some of the skills that is required to promote interpersonal relationship in the society. Interpersonal relationship can be defined as interaction or connections existing among people in a community or society, which influences their behavior towards one another. It is a social bond or attachment between two or more people. So what interpersonal relationship is in a broader sense is that it talks about the relationship or the interaction that occurs every day between you and other persons. There is basically no way anybody will do anything on earth without having to talk to somebody. For example, if you are going anywhere, you will need to use a vehicle. Using a vehicle, you need to contact the person who has a vehicle or who is on the road running the business of taking people from one place to the other. So you have to talk to the person. You have to bargain with the person. You have to, have a normal communication with the person on how you need his service and how also you also will pay for that service. So there are a whole lot of interpersonal relationship that we're going to be looking at. There are some that just happen now and it ends there. There are some that become a lifelong relationship. But however, we should just put it in mind that when we're talking about interpersonal relationship, we're looking at the interaction or connection that occurs every day between people in a particular community and so on and so forth. Let us look at types of interpersonal relationship. Based on the degree of intimacy and closeness, there are variations in interpersonal relationship. They include the following. One is relationship between men and women. So of course, when you see in every organization, there are men and women. So there are a lot of relationship that occurs between men and women, either as husband and wife, or as co-workers, or as colleagues, or as a kind of two adults who are also in a relationship. So all of these are what we regard as interpersonal relationship, because every now and then everyone needs somebody to do one or two things with. When you're working in any organization, you need a partner. And even when you don't have a partner, generally there are workers in that organization. You need to talk to somebody. You need to understand what needs to be done. You need to work together as a team to achieve what needs to be done. And at the process of doing this, communication is a kind of engaged, because if you don't talk to yourself, you will not understand yourself, and then you will not know how to do what you need to do. So there is constant interaction on how and what needs to be done. So all of this interaction that takes place either as husband and wife, as colleague, and so on and so forth, is what actually is known as interpersonal relationship. We look at the relationship between individuals and government. Individuals and government also engage so many times in different kind of relationship. For example, the individuals are expected to do some certain things in the state. They are expected to pay their tax. They are expected to obey the laws. They are expected to be orderly. They are expected to ensure that they don't break any of these set down rules and regulations. That is also the reason why laws are in place to check those who will violate all these laws. Then government are also there to ensure that the right of the citizens are kept. What they need to do by developing the city and putting things in place to ensure that life is easy for the citizens, they are also doing their part. So as you will know, the people have duty to a kind of which is their own responsibility to the state, while government have the obligation to also ensure that the rights of the citizens are protected, and what also the citizen needs per time is provided. They will also now look at relationship among peers. For example, peers are talking about friends, age mates, classmates, people who are of the same social level, who have common interests. They could be classmates, they could be playmates, they could be people of same age mate. All of these persons are peers, and there are a lot of relationship that occurs within this person, and that relationship could be for the purpose of studying. It could also be for the purpose of having a similar talent, and both of them are working towards ensuring that they build the talent or work on themselves. So all this interaction that occur within this time, why these two persons or three or even more persons are trying to work together, is what is known as interpersonal relationship. Then we look at family / kinship and kinship relationship. In every family there are also interaction. The father has to talk with the wife has to talk with the children, the father also have to talk with the children also have to interact with themselves. All of this all put together is what is known as interpersonal relationship. Then in the extended family, the uncles, the aunties, the nephew, the niece, the all other siblings that make up that family also have time. They come together to interact. You see that they are calling themselves, if they don't live together, once in a while through phone to get to know how they are doing and how they are coping with life. And then there is always an interaction. Whenever interaction is established, it leads to connection, and that connection is what leads to the bond, often the time that now exists between family members. The bond is what now keeps them together, that makes them miss themselves when they live apart for a period of time. So all of this is what is put together that is known as interpersonal relationship. The other one is professional or business relationship. There are also professional or business relationship, like we made mention of. When you are working in an organization, either with some certain colleagues in the organization, you have a relationship that occur within that time. So it could be because of your profession. You could be a doctor and you are working in an organization, and then you have reasons to work with other doctors. That also can establish a relationship, and that also is the purpose why we look at interpersonal relationship, because everything you do, you can't just do it in isolation. You alone cannot do anything without having to talk to somebody, or with somebody assisting you with something, or with you asking a simple question. So all these things put together is what we are looking at that make up interpersonal relationship. Then we have business partners, people you work with, people you interact with, people you settle, people you get your goods from. All these things, all of that are what is known as interpersonal relationship. Then we have relationship between students and teachers. The teacher come to the class to teach. The student has to listen to what the teacher is saying. Often the time they ask questions as well, which also give the teacher the feedback to understand whether the students are getting what he or she is teaching or not. So at that time this interaction is taking place between the teacher and the student, is what is also known as interpersonal relationship. Let us now look at skills that promote interpersonal relationship. One of the skills that promote interpersonal relationship is honesty. This refers to such attributes like truthfulness, transparency, absence of lying, cheating, theft, etc. All of this is expected that whenever any relationship is established, this honesty must be the watchword. Then forgiveness. People that are involved in relationship must live to forgive themselves, because it is important, and sometimes it's something you cannot do without that. Whenever anything come up, because people came from different background, that they are now living together or trying to cope, staying together, there's every tendency they could offend themselves. And so whenever any offense come, they should forgive and let go. Then kindness. People must be kind, they must be caring, they must show concern to one another. Another thing is caring. People also, like we earlier said, must be caring, and they must also be ready to solve problem that is affecting others. The other one we have there is tolerance. You must also learn to tolerate yourself and also accept what other persons have to say or think, even if it doesn't please you, but you just kind of let it go. Then patience. This is also the state of enduring or preserving someone's attitude and behavior, which may be provocative, but without acting in anger. That is what makes you to have patience towards that person. I hope you enjoy the class. During the course of the class, we define the term interpersonal relationship. We look at some of the types of interpersonal relationship. We also look at the skills that promote interpersonal relationship in our society. This is how far we're going to go in this lesson. In our next lesson, we'll be able to look at another topic. I'll see you in my next class.